Hello everyone. This is Vlog Media Breeze because my name is Bree, Bree. I know you guys say I spell a lot and that's just for the purposes of pronunciation. That's important to me. So let's get started. I am coming at you tonight to talk about Real Housewives of New York. I've been wanting to review this for a while now. As boring as it is this season, I'm really watching just for Ebony. Ebony is a highly accomplished Black woman on Real Housewives of New York. And if anyone has ever been to New York is probably the most diverse, especially the downstate. They have a downstate and an upstate. Downstate is the most diverse part of the United States, period, I think in the nation. You can go to New York and see people from all over the world. It is just amazing, the exoticism of it all. So I digress. I want to get on this. I'm just glad that Ebony is there, and they seem to be opening up to some other avenues of New York as well, so that the Real Housewives of New York are represented in reality in terms of how the state is. Because you'll see next week they're going to show them doing some event more on Ebony's side of town, which is not a bad side of town by any means. At the same time, it's not the same side of town where Ramona lives. So I like the diversity that they are bringing to this particular show, because like I said, it is too diverse for it to have gone this long being so just showing one side of it. So at any rate, it opens up with Leah. Leah is upstairs. They are at Ramona's house at the Hamptons. Leah is upstairs, and they're getting ready to go to this pageantry that they have created. I don't know who created it. It might have been Luann, but it is just not, I was like, what a dumb idea. They could not come up with anything other than a pageant. At any rate, before they get ready to go to the pageant, Ebony is upstairs in the room and she is telling Leah about what Heather said, because as you recall, on the last episode, Heather shared her thoughts about voting. And Leah, it's not that she's against voting. She just was not sure about this election because she didn't like either person running. To let her tell it, she said that she just knew that she wanted the nation to be better, but she still didn't know if she really liked Biden. So she was torn. So I think that Leah is probably really a Republican, and she would love to have voted Republican, but the person who was in office at the time was not representative of someone that she wanted to vote for. So she was probably struggling with the fact that she is now going to have to vote Democrat because she just wants the nation to get back to normal, as a lot of people do. So I want to move forward and say that after Ebony tells her that Leah said, and I want to get the words at least halfway right because I don't have it memorized, but she told her that Heather felt like anyone who is of age is responsible for voting. So she was saying that Leah has a responsibility to vote, whether or not she is in the position of being able to make a choice or not. She shouldn't just not vote. And I'm paraphrasing. So that really set Leah off. And I didn't understand that because that was not enough to set someone off. She was so upset, she ran out of the room, stood at the top of the stairs behind the rail, and starts hurling all of these terrible insults at Heather. And Heather, she called Heather a feminism 101, you're the worst Karen of all, stuff like that was coming out of her mouth. I mean, just all kinds of insults. And Heather was just standing there like, and at first I have to tell you, I At first I was against what Leah said, and I'm against how she presented it. I really am. However, as you will see when we get further along in this commentary, there is something that comes out about Heather that I'm going to bring up, and you probably already know what it is. So after Leah hurls all of her insults, the ladies get into the RV. They're on their way to the pageantry, and Ebony and Heather are having a conversation about what Ebony told to Leah. So Ebony wants to make sure she gets it right. So she repeats it to Heather in the way that she communicated it to Leah. And Heather agreed with Ebony that that is what she said. She said she didn't say the word irresponsible. But even if she had, it did not warrant what Leah had done in terms of, hurling all of those insults at her. So the ladies arrive at the pageant, and I'm like, this scene is just so, I almost fell asleep on it, literally right before they chose Leah as the winner. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Ebony did a spoken word at the pageant, but I just want to say, when you're in a pageant, just on average, spoken word is not a talent. If you want to exhibit a talent of being a thespian or an actress, you can have a line or two that you do from a movie or something and do that on stage in the way that you would do it in a scene as an actress or a thespian. But just to stand there and recite a poem, that's not a talent, really. That is something most people can already do. You want to do something that stands out. And I used to participate in pageants. So I know you want to do something that can stand out. And quite frankly, most of the time, the person who wins a pageant is the singer. It's either the singer or the piano player, someone who is musically inclined. There may have been some dancers along the way or some other talents that might have won, but most of the time it's someone who can really sing who wins that talent contest, of that talent part of the pageant, and they often go on to win the pageant, to win the crown. So I wanted to just get through that pageant part. Leah did win. She did the hula hoop, the arm hula hoops, which was, a win for her. She had just learned how to do that. I think Ramona taught it to her. So congratulations to Leah. So meanwhile, back at Ramona's the next morning, everyone has stayed at the Hamptons. Leah gets up. As you can see, she's not even in the scene at the home because she has left earlier that morning to go spend time before her grandmother exits this life. And unfortunately, she did not make it. That was so sad to me because I know that I really empathize with her. I loved my grandparents. My grandmother and my papa were the best ever. Absolutely, hands down. I love my grandparents to death. They were just such amazing people. They reared us. In fact, a lot of our foundation comes from them. Not even really my mother, quite frankly. It was just the words and how my grandmother and grandfather taught us to be as grandchildren. And that has just carried me throughout my entire life. There are times whenever I'm doing something and I can hear her voice in my ear, because I remember her telling me or correcting me or, moving me in the right direction. And so I certainly empathize with Leah and losing that. That's a terrible loss. So moving forward, back at the Hamptons though, the scene that really struck me in this one was when Ramona had received the message from Leah that she did not make it in time to see her grandmother before she exited the life. And so Ramona wants to reply and say, I am terribly sorry for your loss, and I'm so sorry. It is too bad that you didn't get to see her before she, passed on. But then Luann stops her. And I'm going to tell you, Luann is so freaking delusional. I just wonder about her brain Really, she's just so out of touch a lot of the time. She stopped Ramona from sending that message, and I don't think that she should have. I really don't. I think that she should have allowed Ramona to send that, because that was the energy that Ramona was giving, and that was a positive energy. When someone sends you a message that someone has passed away, you want to reply soft. And I thought that was a soft reply from Ramona. And I think that it ended up that she didn't send the message. I'm not sure, but if you guys watched Roni, that's Real Housewives of New York, RHONY, if you watched that, did she finally send the message, or did she stop because of Luann? So I couldn't really tell in that scene. So moving out of that scene into the next, Ebony and Leah are now at a boxing ring, because they're waiting on Sonia. They're going to let Sonia take some boxing lessons, because they think that she's being used as a punching bag. They think that the other ladies are using Sonia for a punching bag. And I think that Ebony and Leah are still quite new, so what they don't know is that Sonia tends to be quite delusional. So it's not that the other ladies are using her as a punching bag. It is more so they are most of the time trying to check her, to make her, come into reality. And I'll never forget, in one reunion years ago, Sonia was sitting in the reunion, and she's a Morgan, right? In terms of Morgan Stanley, those people, right? And they have yachts and stuff. She kept calling one of the yachts her yacht, and it's not her yacht, it's the Morgan's yacht. So the ladies kept having to remind her, Sonia, you do not have a yacht. That is not your yacht. She was talking about the yacht like it was hers, and she could just go use it any old time she wanted to. And that really is not the case. The Morgans are done with her. They have her daughter practically a lot more than she has her daughter. So I digress. At any rate, they are at the boxing ring, and the Ebony, I disagree with people who ask someone about a funeral and they say, oh, was it a beautiful ceremony? Especially if you don't know that much about the person. Ebony's first question to Leah was, oh, so how was it? Was it beautiful? And I was thinking, the woman just lost her grandmother, and you're asking her if it was beautiful? It was a very sad occasion. Just say, are you okay? Do you need me for anything? Something like that. Not, how was it? Was it beautiful? How do you respond to something like that? I digress again. I'll be digressing a lot throughout this because I'm trying to get through it. So next, Sonia walks in and we see she gets in the ring and Sonia is ducking. It is hilarious. She is ducking. She is not punching back at all. Had that been me, I would have been giving it my best shot. Even if I was afraid of being hit, I would have been giving it my best shot. And Sonia, that's probably why the ladies do, use her as a punching bag, as they say, because she ducks a lot. She's delusional. She's, anyway, that was also a boring scene, but I just wanted to talk about it because of Ebony asking that question after the funeral. So moving forward, we have Luann. Luann is sitting at a table with another real estate agent. He owns his own agency, and she is talking to him about getting into the real estate game. So, and I heard her say that she would have to take 75 hours. That's like we had to do here in North Carolina. Real estate, you take 75 hours, you take the class tests, and you get 2 opportunities to pass the class test. After you pass, you have a couple of months to take the state examination, which is only $100. And so you take the state examination, you pass that, they send you your license. You know the day of that, whether or not you passed. So that sounded a lot like what happens here in in North Carolina. I think that with real estate, you're going to have to really be prepared to work, especially in New York, because there are a lot of realtors. So Ramona's going to have to really be prepared to bust her butt. She's used to being in the office and bossing people around, and to get started, she's going to have to really get into that game. But he's a good coach. I can't remember his name, but he is well known in New York in the real estate, arena. So I'm sure that she'll do fine. And moving forward, the next thing we have is the ladies, and I'm looking up because I have my board here, my notes here, which are kind of, I can't even read my own writing. So let's see here. Ebony, real estate, Okay, so, oh yeah, they are back at Ebony's house. I'll make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh, I have to get this part in. You guys remember Ebony in one of her confessionals, whenever they had her voiceover, they were showing her doing some other things in the scenes, but her voiceover was talking about her relationship with her dad. And she said that her mother, till this day, is not sure of who her father is. So I just thought that was interesting. So maybe Ebony's mother could come on the show as a friend or something, and that can really be Ebony's storyline, looking for her dad, because that's a sad story. That kind of explains some of the sadness that I see in her, because Ebony, even though she has all these great things going on in her life, seemingly, she's had to grow up, I think, probably faster than most women. She just has that persona of having to struggle with some things mentally. She just has, and I could be wrong, but that may be the thing that she has struggled with. I cannot imagine not knowing who your dad is. I've known all my life who my dad was, and we recently lost him. And my family has had a tough year. It's been a tough year. In August, we lost my niece, my oldest niece. And then in April, we lost my dad. And then last week, if you look at my previous video, someone texted me about my brother. And it's been a tough weekend. It was completely unexpected, so I'm going to move forward because I don't want to have this whole room in a flood of tears right now. So moving on, so we see here, this is the part I wanted to tell you about Heather, because Heather appears, she kept having this theme throughout this show and last week's show, and that the theme is white women just need to be quiet and listen. We're the privileged ones. I am really tired, you guys, of hearing white women say, we're the privileged ones, because I think they like saying that they are privileged. I really do. And they are privileged because we made them privileged. We have to remember that Harriet Tubman and, I was about to say Cicely Tyson, but Cicely Tyson, the late Cicely Tyson, actually played Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth were activists not just for getting people out of slavery, but they were activists for women's rights, all the rights of women. Okay? So the people who have benefited, you guys, from the civil rights movement the most, the people who have benefited the most have been white women. And it was us, black people, who are the cause of that civil rights movement. We are the cause of affirmative action. We're the cause of there not being discrimination against blacks first. So what happened was Congress and the Senate extended those laws. Okay, no discrimination against blacks, no discrimination against other groups, pregnant women, people, they extended it. So we don't get enough homage for that. But I'm going to give us homage on this channel for that, okay? And I hope I don't have to remake this video. So I just wanted to put that out there. So Heather, when she says she's privileged, for those of you who hear her say those words, I want you to think in your head, yes, you're privileged because the slaves in this country have made you privileged. But I don't know if I agree with the idea of white women need to be quiet. I don't want white women to be quiet because I want to know what you're thinking. I do. I want to know what you're thinking. And I digress on that point. I want to move forward and say that, what's the next thing? They're at Ebony's house right now, and they bought food. They're eating, and I don't know why they always bring all this food. They never eat any of it. In fact, the dogs were having a field day with the food. I have to say, I it is disgusting to me whenever people allow their pets to get all over the food and they don't stop them. I don't want to eat food that your dog has been wagging his tail in front of, that he's been shaking his hair off in front of, that he's been wiggling in front of, that he's been licking all over. I don't want to eat after he's licked anything. If you want to do that, I'm perfectly fine with that. That's you. I, however, do not want to do that. And Leah really should have gotten her dogs under control. But Leah needs to get a lot of things under control. I have to say, if I was going to have any of the housewives leave Real Housewives of New York, it would be Luann, Leah, and there's one other, not Sonia. I don't want Sonia to leave, and I do not want Ramona to leave. But Luann and Leah can go, definitely. I want them to bring Heather back, though. I think Heather would be good. Because Heather's bold, she doesn't mind saying what's on her mind, and Ebony is there, and I just would like to see the dynamic of that. Because Heather seems to be a person who will say something and then go hide and then apologize. She'll say it, then she'll go hide, and then she'll apologize. And so I just would like to see how that comes to be. So they are there. Ebony's friend is there. And I noticed that Ebony is an AKA. I guess her friend might be an AKA as well. And maybe that's why she's there, and that's why they're really good friends. And by the way, there have been a lot of sororities on YouTube who have denounced their sororities. There have been like some KDs, which is a white sorority. And I remember them at the school that I went to. Because when I was in college, I went to a predominantly white college. In fact, the class, my freshman class, we brought in about 500 African Americans into the university, and we were the largest African American class that ever entered that university to that point. Before that, it had African Americans on the campus, but it was not as vast as it was whenever we entered it. And it changed some things on the campus. However, one of the things that was not on the campus were Black fraternities and sororities. They did not bring them in until my senior year. I was about to graduate. And so, well, actually they brought in the fraternities like earlier in the year. So some of the people who came in, some of the men who came in were able to pledge fraternities. But the sororities were brought in at the end. So those of us who were there beforehand were preparing for graduation, and I probably could have pledged in graduate school, but I just, moving forward, I just ended up not doing it. I'm kind of glad now, because I would probably be one of those people denouncing it because I didn't know about the rituals that go along and the things that you say to each other in terms of the ritual and the words, and those things would not have sat well with me today, as I am a daughter of the Most High God. So I would probably be one of those people denouncing any sorority I would have joined anyway. So I digress with that. At any rate, they get ready to end it all. One of the things that was also really funny is Ramona. I just thought it was hilarious that she was posing on Instagram with other black women. She was just grabbing black women and posing. I think she was trying to prove a point to Ebony. I just thought that was hilarious. I know that it really pissed Sonia off, as we can see. Sonia was going off on Ramona about that. Sonia and Ramona are very good friends for decades. So when Sonia goes off about Ramona, I ignore it because I feel like they are sisters. I really do. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review, and next week we'll see again. Ebony's going to take them to her side of town, and it's going to be a lot different than what they are accustomed to. So I can't wait to see what it's like. And remember to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, click the notification bell, and get down in my comments. I've noticed a lot of you will give me all these likes, but you don't comment on anything, and I wanna know what you're thinking. And hopefully we can get on here and do a live once I get a really good amount of people. Once I get over 1,000, I can come on, do a live, and I want to be able to give away some things to people who are a part of this journey with me. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for stopping by. I watch YouTube more than I do television. It's me, YouTube, and CNN. And speaking of CNN, today Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin met. And so I was waiting for that meeting because I wanted to culminate that story and my commentary on that. I wanted to bring that together with what Russia did in Africa. And so I'm going to be doing that this week. I wanted to do it today, but this is literally my 6th or 7th video. I have a lot of work to do. I hope I didn't talk slow. I hope that people, because people are always saying that I talk slow, and they're like, get to the point. Oh my gosh. Listen, I'm as annoyed as you are. Whenever I have to listen to it back, I'm like, oh my goodness, I see what they're saying. So thank you for that, what do you call it, constructive criticism. Some of you it's constructive, others you're just like destructive. And what I do is I delete your comment. I do, if you're being destructive. And I know that I have circles under my eyes. I have been dealing with that because I have been studying. My real estate book is over 700 pages, and that's just one of them. Okay, that doesn't even include the workbook. So I've really been studying. Anyway, many blessings to all of you. Again, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, click the notification bell, and remember to get down in the comments. And many blessings to you. Bye.